Hello, Jez from Nigezza.co.uk. Thank you for joining me today. Today I am going to make a notepad cover with a little pen holder. This is my prototype, which I've made for myself because I love this paper, which was out a few years ago, and I just think it's beautiful. So this is for me to use as a little pocket on the inside, which, you know, if you're going to a meeting or whatever, you get handouts or whatever, or things you need to remember. You can put it in there, receipts, whatever. And it just holds an A5 notepad, and I've made it so that the notepad can slip in and out, so that when this notepad's full up, you can buy a new one and slip it back in. So that when it's over, it's refillable, basically. Okay, so these are the ones I'm using. These are from Hobbycraft, 100 pages, A5 lined. I like the fact they've got margin. And the reason why I bought these is because they was in the sale and they were 20p each. What a bargain, I bought 10. So, I did take the cover off because I didn't want that in my notepad. So yeah, I am going to show you how I made this, and I'm going to make one using Petal Promenade to kind of match this birthday card that I made. Got an aunt who's going to be 80 soon, so I've made her this card. You may or may not have seen the video for this. It's a little preview if you haven't, and a little memory if you have. So I'm going to be using Petal Promenade, Petal Promenade to do that. Okay, so I've got everything cut and prepped, ready for it. Okay, so you just need one sheet of DSP. The 12 by 12 will be enough. 2 sheets of cardstock and 2 sheets of Whisper White, but you'll have loads left over. So this is what we need for the back, and that is what we need for the front. So I'll just move those out the way. All the measurements will be over on my blog, nigezza.co.uk, but I will tell you as I go along. So for the back piece, this is 6 inches by 8 3/8. Okay, so if you're in America, that's fine because your cardstock's 8.5 wide, so you can do it 6 inches down from your 8.5 wide. In the UK, we'll have to do the 6 across and cut 8 3/8 off the length. Okay, but it means that both can do it. For the strip along the top, this was just the bit that was left over when I cut the other bits off. So this is, I've trimmed it down so that it's 8 inches across and it's 2 1/4. So it was basically the bit that was cut off that. Okay. Yeah. So I'm just going to do a little bit of scoring on this bit that's going to be the flap, the tuck flap bit. So we are going to score that along the long side at 7/8 and then at 1 inch. So we've got a little 1/8 of an inch. Sort of guess it. Turn it round. I just find it easier doing it this way. And that is all we need for this bit. And then it's just a matter of folding and burnishing those bits. So it's just so that we can, got a bit of room for the sort of chipboard back of the pad, because that's quite thick, and I just felt it needed that little bit extra. So I'm going to stick it around the back because that's going to get covered with DSP, and then it means that the pad won't get caught on this bit there. It was just my thoughts. If you want to do it that way, you can, but I just thought that if it's that way, then when you're sticking this down, it's got them edge bits to potentially catch on. Whereas if they're on the back, then it's not going to catch. You're not going to see it anyway. So we want the glue on the inside. So oh, that was a bit of a fast splodge there. There is quite a lot on that. Might just move it over there. So I'm just going to go down about 1/2 inch. Needs to be glued up to that first score line. Same on the other side. So that's it, stuck down, and then the pad, I just took this cover off. Because we don't need that. And then that will just slip down there. And hold in place. This has managed to detach itself actually. And that fits nicely in there. Got a little bit of movement around, which I wanted, so that you've got room to put your finger in to pull it out. So now we need to do the bit for the pen. Okay, you can't do this out of just one sheet of A4 because you need the bit to fold over. So we'll just put this to one side for now, and we'll get the back piece. And the back piece is 8 1/4 by 8 1/4. So in the UK, that is the width of our cardstock, and cut the same amount the other way to make a square. Okay, and then we're going to score. Doesn't matter which side because it's a square. So we're going to score at 1 3/8. 1 3/4, 2 1/8. And that's that. We want the middle one to go out the ways. We want that one to go that way, and we want that one to go that way. And I may well have done that the wrong way round, but I think I might be right. No, I have done that the wrong way round. always have to think about this. It's that. It's the middle one. You go like that. So that's the front of your box going down. Yeah, so it's completely the opposite way to how I said. Oh God, if I had brains. So that's what you want to end up with, it looking like that. Okay, so you've got like an M shape. All right, and then this bit here is going to be what holds your pen. This is the front that's going to get stuck round the back, so you want your slit to be up on this end. I did this wrong in practice and ended up cutting it the wrong way, but if you do it the wrong way, you just turn it inside out. Okay, I didn't have my snips at the ready, so we're just going to cut about an inch or so from the top. You're going to cut down to that score line and then add that in there. So you want to go up to the score line, and then that bit comes the other way, like so, and that's the bit that forms the holder for the pen. And then we're going to stick this bit down, but not that bit. So we just want glue. If that one's sticking forward, we just want glue on that bit and on that bit. I hope that's clear. Sometimes I find these things quite hard to explain. I'm going to use fast fuse because that glue seemed a bit lively. You might want to use tear and tape, or you can use your favourite wet glue. I'm just not using that wet glue on camera because it did spill out a bit too quickly. And then that glues down to that back bit there. Like so, and then we take the piece we had for the back, and we're going to glue that on there. And I clearly done something wrong with my measuring because that is far too long. Hold on a sec. Okay, yeah, I did this at 8 3/8, and this is 8 1/4. So I have cut it too long. So I'd actually not done it 8. I'd actually done it 8 3/4. I'd obviously not looking at all, thinking that was the 8 1/4, like a duh. So I'm going to cut that down to 8 1/4. I'm actually taking a little bit off the top of this because I wanted that to be much closer to the top. So I should trim a bit off this. to 8 1/4, and then we're cooking on gas again. Yeah. And I have clearly written the size down, so I'm going to change that right now to 8 1/4, so that when I come to write it up on my blog, it will now be correct. So that's now the same size. Fantastic. Right, so that's our back. So we now want to glue that onto the back there. So we need to put glue down here. I'm going to use fast fuse for quickness. I've got to the end of my fast fuse. So we'll get another one out. And then we'll line that up the top. Just pull it out slightly from that crease, and there we have it. And don't worry about that mess, because we're going to cover it. And there we have the basics of our pad holder. Okay, so the pad will slip in now. What I've done, because it did detach itself from the back, so I've taken a strip of card the same width and 1.5 inches deep, and I've scored it 1/4 inch because that is what my pad is. And I'm going to put some fast fuse along this so that it will adhere again. And it's really important to make sure the fast fuse is right up to that edge along the top. And then that covers up the bit of glue on the back, and it means that it will hold on quite nicely, and you can still rip your pages out. Okay, and then that will slip in place down there. Really nicely. Okay, so let's start our decoration. So for the back, we have got a piece that is six and a quarter. I'm going to take a ruler to double check. Yep, 6 1/4 by 8 1/8. Yep. So I'm doing this with a smaller margin so that we cover all the joins so they're not as much seen. And the DSP is 6 by 7 eighths, 7 7/8. So that is the normal margin that we get. I'm going to use coral glue for this because I want it to have a nice hard finish. I find if we use the coral glue, this stuff, that it does dry with an extra sort of stiffness to it, and that is the effect I want. So I often use this when I'm doing mini albums and doing the covers, because it seems to add a little bit of extra strength to the cardstock. So I really like this glue for my mini albums. You still get a bit of wigglage, and then it sticks fast. I was making a mini album with my niece using this glue. She didn't like it at all. She couldn't get on with it. So it's all down to personal preference. You sometimes get like those threads from it, and that's what she didn't like, that she kept getting the threads. Got one there, I don't know if you can see that on camera, but they just break off, and if any go on your cardstock, they will just rub off and not leave any marks. So that's the back. And then we're going to stick on the front. So the mats for the front are 8 by 5 3/4, and then that's 7 3/4 by 5 1/2, and then that's just going to mat on the front. I've managed. Although I'm making this for a present, I am going to make some for craft fairs. They are quite quick to put together. I quite like doing things like this in front of the telly, because they go together quite nicely. And then for the front, I'm using one of the cutouts from this paper. So the cutouts like 3 by 3. So the the Whisper White is 3 1/4 by 3 1/4, and then that's 3 1/2 by 3 1/2. I'm just going to stick that in the middle, and I've already pre-done the sentiment, and I got that just a note from the sentiment that you get with the card kit, soft sayings. So it's the just a note that you get in that. I really like the font on it. So I just keep those. That's the other card kit. I just keep them in an old CD box. So and then I put a pocket on the inside. So I'm going to use the other panel for that, but to make the pocket I've got a piece of DSP that is 6 7/8 by 4. I'm going to do a bit of scoring on it. I just thought having a pocket on the inside is quite useful, especially I was thinking of my friend, but she'll be at meetings and often you sort of pick up little bits of paper, or you might have a post-it note with somebody's phone number on or something that you need to use. So we are going to score this at half, half, and at 3/8. And I'm going to turn it over and score it again at half and 3/8. Let's just give the pocket a little bit so it's not flush, and then on the bottom we'll just score it at a half. So we'll just fold and burnish these. It's really hard to fold it down when you've only got an 1/8. There we go. And then we just take the snips and we're just going to cut diagonally across there. Diagonally across so that it is you're just able to just fold it up. Doesn't have to be exact, but we're just going to glue down on that section, not that section, so that we've got a slight bit of lift in our pocket, like so. Okay. And then that should just fit. On the inside of the pocket. I'm just going to leave a little bit of a margin on the bottom. And then we can just put a bone folder in there. To make that stick. and then we just stick these 2 layers on the top in the middle there, so it kind of matches. Oh, that will just rub off with a bit of oozing. That's another reason why I like this glue. So there you've got a lovely pocket there for sticking things in, that's got a little bit of, so you could stick quite a bit in there if you wanted to. Pen down the side. Oh, that one, it's a bit thick at that end, but there you go. So that's it. So we've got a matching birthday card and a matching pad. I think that's quite pretty. I like it. I think she'll like it. I like the one that I made for myself with retired stuff. Okay, I think they'll make lovely, lovely craft fair items as well. So just a slightly bigger version of my pen pad that I did. The one I did before had an envelope in there and a little calendar. Could stick a calendar there actually, thinking about it. Might do that. Okay, thank you for joining me. All the details with all the correct measurements will be over on my blog, nigezza.co.uk. Looking forward to seeing you again. Link down below for the blog, link for shop if you want to buy anything. And yeah, and if you need a catalogue, you don't have one, you don't have a demonstrator, then just send me a message and I'll be happy to oblige. Okay, bye.